another really exciting day today. So I woke up first thing and I got a text from Simon saying congratulations, you've sold your first artwork, which was incredible, and I'm still quite in shock from that. And I went into work first thing and it was so kind. Phoebe and Simon both congratulated me, and then me and Phoebe basically got to work on Rob's email, the artist who's buying my work. So yesterday I sent Rob some ideas of what kind of frames he might like, because he wasn't happy with the original framing, and he said he really liked one of the bleach frames, but he'd prefer the border to be wider. So I drew that up on Photoshop and rearranged it how I thought he'd want it, and then me and Phoebe went to the framers. So we spoke to Phoebe's mum, who works there, and she said that's fine, and she helped us look at the different frames and mounts and things so we could get a wider mount and the bleach frame. That's all fine. And Rob also said on the first day he came in that he wanted it to be slightly floating. So usually Phoebe's concern was that couldn't be done on paper, which is what my painting's on, that it can only be done on canvas. And we switched to Phoebe's mum, and she had a great idea of using like a foam board underneath and stick that to my paper and leave like a 2 centimetre gap around the edge, so that the paper will appear floating. So that's great, and that frame costs £120 and will be finished on the 29th of July, ready to be collected. So that'd be great. So I'll get to see it whilst I'm still doing work experience there. So really excited for that. And so kind of Simon to include the frame as complimentary. And Simon offered me the full 450, which is what it sold for, and I said that was very kind, but far too kind. So we're going to split it how all the other artists in the gallery do it, 50-50, 50 for the gallery, 50 for the artists. So yeah, couldn't be happier, over the moon. And then we had to get to work writing the invoice. So me and Phoebe wrote Rob, who's buying the work, an email asking for his address, and sent off the invoice to be signed, which was really exciting, because one of the first things on my first day me, Phoebe and Simon discussed is that I'm going to need to know how a work is sold, and I've been there 4 days and the only work that's sold is my work. So it was so exciting to get to see how a work is sold, how an invoice is written, how things are drafted, and go back and forth with my work. So that was really exciting. Rob also said that he didn't want to pay for postage, and he wasn't sure when he was going to come up to the Cotswolds next, so he asked us to hold the work until he knew. But coincidentally, I'm going down to Cornwall on holiday in 2 weeks, and I'm going to a hotel down there that's right next to their house. So that's great. So we sent that to him saying coincidentally Emily's coming down, and he said that's great news, he'll meet me at the hotel, and that will be great for me because I'll be able to meet him, although he's already seen me, he hasn't met me. Not only to meet someone who's buying my work, but actually an artist who's buying my work. So that's quite an honour, having the first person who's ever bought my work to be a really talented artist themselves. So really looking forward to that and meeting him and giving him my work. I think it's a lovely thing if an artist can give someone their work. I'd love to meet artists who I've bought work from. So that was really exciting morning. So that's all sorted, and really looking forward to seeing him. And then later, the next thing we did, Simon suggested that me and Phoebe make an Instagram post for that day. So he wanted to include one of Laurie Hopkins' works. They haven't sold any yet, and do like a front one of that. And yesterday I did the back labels for all of them with a totem, the title of the exhibition written at the top, and that I designed, and he said they look really smart when they're stuck on the back, and I stuck them all on the back yesterday. So he said, well, we'll do a photo of one of the works. So I picked Tip, which is one of her slightly bigger works, because on the back the labels are placed next to each other. A lot of them they weren't spaced, so I had to sort of jig them around, but that looked really smart from the back. So I took, I sort of curated a little scene. So I took one of Laurie's pictures and put it on an easel. Behind the picture there's some neon writing that says buy art. That's in the gallery, and I put a plant down by the side and had the window in the background, and took a little while to do that. Took the photo of the front, and then I took one of the back so you can see the labels a close up, and then one really zoomed in of the label as well. So that took about half an hour and an hour because I wanted to get everything perfect, and then I had to edit the photos, alter the brightness, the whatever. And then Phoebe asked me to write a caption for the post, so I thought it was important to include Laurie Hopkins as a tag, because they hadn't been doing that. They'd been using hashtags, which I think is great because the hashtag basically takes you to her page anyway, but I know if you at someone that it comes up on their Instagram, so it might be nice for her to see that we've tagged her. So I wrote at Laurie Hopkins, and then explained a little bit about the work, what that was at the bottom, and then basically said, talked about Totem, the exhibition coming up on the 20th of August to the 2nd of September. Yeah, so that was a really exciting thing to do because it's a big part of their thing. As I said yesterday, they don't advertise in magazines, they just use pretty much Instagram, and also one or two magazines and online, but that's it. So that was a big thing for them, doing some advertising, which I'm also really interested in. So that was great. And then me and Phoebe, to advertise the exhibition, we wanted to have the totem that I designed yesterday in big stickers in the front of the gallery. They have these two big windows which say Stowe House Art in sort of stuck on letters. So I went and took photos of the outside of the shop, and then I used Photoshop to take my design that I'd made yesterday and put it onto each of the windows. So we'll send that off to a company called Acorns, who are fairly local, and they design the stickers that you can stick onto the front of the shop. They do it all for you, so that would be great. And then underneath each totem I wrote on one side a little bit of a tiny short biog about the exhibition, and then the dates on the other window panel either side of the door, and then played around with positioning and size and things and discovered what worked and what didn't. And we also want Totem, a big title, in right at the back of the gallery. There's this green room at the back where basically the exhibition is taking place. We want Totem written there. So I played around with height and width, and there's a bit of a dilemma because with the back wall, it's a false wall, and there are sort of two layers that overlap, so you can see a big crease down the middle of the back wall, which is where Totem's going. So we had to plan the right size so it would fit and not overlap on the gap, so it would stick properly. So that took a bit of jiggling around, but I took photos, photoshopped them and sent them off to them. They work really quickly, so within the next one to 2 weeks they'll be completed, and then they can come be stuck on, and they do it all for you, so that was great. Next thing, Simon asked me to write a press release. He has a friend who is one of the editors for Country Life, and who always offers to put his any adverts in the Country Life magazine, which is great because lots of people I know in the Cotswolds read Country Life, so hopefully it gets lots of attention. And that was really exciting, writing the press release, because I'd never done that before. But I had lots of suggestions of what to include, and then I was sort of just asked to go for it. So in the first bit I just wrote about what the exhibition was, where the gallery was, that it's the Cotswold Gallery, that the exhibition's from the 20th of August to the 2nd of September. Yesterday, Phoebe and Simon had a discussion about including Elizabeth Neville's work, which came in on Monday, into the exhibition. And the impression I got was Phoebe was a bit concerned because obviously Laurie and Rosie the exhibition's only been for them, and it's been under the theme Totem. And so I think Phoebe was concerned whether Elizabeth's work linked to that, and also does that affect the other two artists' work if a third artist is coming in as well. So I understand her concern, but there's only 3 works and they look great, so they're going in. So then I included in the press release a little bit about each artist, so about Laurie's work, Rosie's work and Elizabeth's work, before just at the end writing a little bit about the gallery itself, and Simon and his 25 years of experience in art dealing, and him wanting to bring abstract art to the Cotswolds and create a gallery that's a little bit different. And also mentioning the prices, that prices range from £1,500 to £6,000 in the exhibition. So that was really exciting. And the last thing I carried on doing was the introduction for the catalogue, which I need to finish tomorrow. That's quite tricky because there's a lot of overlap between the press release and the catalogue introduction, but for the introduction in the catalogue it is going to be a lot more compressed, so I need to figure out how best to do that. But as I say, probably one of the most exciting days of my life, selling my first artwork, incredible, and I am indebted to Simon and Phoebe for that. Just incredible, and I'm very excited to meet Rob and very excited for tomorrow.